So, I got rid of the Honda Civic. 2 vlogs ago, I introduced you guys my 1995 Honda Civic DX Coupe that I had for just under half a year, give or take. I got it because I was in a pinch, and it was just the perfect car for having a project car, having my own personal manual, and I thought it would be a great platform to boost me ahead in my voyage of exploring the car scene, because it's a Honda, right? It's reliable, it's easy to buy parts for, it's cheap, if the economy was good enough for it. And it actually ended up being a very large paperweight after a while because it had some issues that developed, and I'll tell you all about that later. But I know you guys are dying to see the new car that I got, so without further ado, let's check it out. This is my 2002 Subaru WRX. It is a manual. It was already pretty much built out all the way by a shop that one of the previous owners took it to, and it is a trip, to say the least. As you can probably see behind me, there's a lot of stuff stuffed in the back of this car. Unfortunately, I'm using it as storage right now because it doesn't run. But, I mean, it's a Subaru. You know, who's ever expecting it to run right off the bat? I got this car because if you know me or you know my older brother, you know he has himself a WRX Bug-Eye as well. His is actually an Impreza. That car is the car that got me into cars. That car was the first car he ever took me to a car meet in, and ever since that point, something in my brain snapped and boom, suddenly I like cars. Obviously, I've owned my fair share of cars over time. If you know me, you know I had myself a 2003 Mercedes S-Class that used to belong to my dad before I fixed it up. And I just did a lot of stuff with that car. It came in OEM on bags. Even though that was my first car, it's most certainly not my favorite. It's definitely up there, but it's definitely not the favorite car. Now, this car, these tuner cars, you know, JDM's where it's at for me, honestly. It's mostly what my brother ended up having himself and modding out, and honestly, they've grown on me a lot. So when I saw the opportunity to get rid of the Civic and trade it for this Subaru WRX, I leapt at it. Even though I knew that the car didn't run at the time, I knew there were going to be some issues with it. It's definitely going to be a piece of work. That's just cars in general, and that did not discourage me at all. I was so looking forward to it. I was so happy. I was like, you know what? I have another car already. I have something I could daily while this thing is down. Why not? So I went up and I hit the guy up. I was like, hey, I know it's not much. It really isn't. It doesn't look like it's worth much, but I know you said you need a running car and you prefer it be manual. I have this Honda Civic here. You know, why don't we trade it out? So he was like, yeah, sure. You know, this car has got its fair share of issues and problems and stuff like that, but it was my daily before it happened. So basically one day I was driving, just daily driving. I don't beat on it at all, and I shifted into fourth and it didn't come back out. He was like, no mechanical noise has happened or anything like that. So yeah, and I just don't have the money to figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I've got a brother who works on these all the time. I know a lot of Subaru people. Someone definitely knows what happened to it. Why not give it a shot? So I hit the guy. We talked for a little bit, discussed trading and what we were gonna do, and he was very reluctant to get rid of this car. Now that I have it and I'm able to sit in it and see what all it had, I can understand why. I'm not the biggest Subaru nut. I don't know everything about them. I don't have a clue what I'm doing here, to be completely honest with you guys. Sitting in this car, yes, I'm familiar because of Brian's. I have no clue what I'm doing as far as bigger mods. That being said, I'm really looking forward to this learning curve. It has been a long time since I've been able to get my hands on a new platform. Quite frankly, it's just exciting. It's extremely exciting to be able to get into another platform, especially one that I've been looking forward to for so long in my life. This car, like I said, it does have its fair share of issues. It's definitely not perfect. I'm gonna go tell you what I do know. I'm gonna point out some things that I don't know, and hopefully you guys can educate me and help me out and learn with me, because there is so much in here that is so different from the Civic. It's a sensory overload for me every time I get in this car. I just want to get it, be able to drive it. I'm excited to hear it run. Even, I don't care if it's fast or slow. Just the minute, I just know for the fact, the minute that this car goes down the road for the first time, I will be ecstatic. So let's go over some mods that I do know about, and then we'll go over some things that I saw that kind of had me questioning something. So, getting into forced induction, this is a whole different platform from what my brother has. Brian has an Impreza. This is a WRX. I've never messed around with a turbo. I've never owned a forced induction vehicle before. And I do know, of course, with it being a boxer, there's a lot of people who like to talk about it being able to blow up and blowing head gaskets left and right. Now, I know a lot of people say, like, that's not this motor. I know that's supposedly I think it's the EJ255. I don't know, don't quote me on that. I don't know my EJs like that. I know this is an EJ205 because it's a 2002 WRX. So it's not the STI. They didn't make the STI for this year until 2003. So that much I do know just from the little research and brochures that I'm able to read. But besides that, there's a lot about this car and this platform, just this motor in general, that I don't know, that I'm looking forward to learn about. One of the funniest parts about owning this car so far is that despite the fact that I haven't even like officially revealed it until this video, I get so many questions about it. Everything on this car came with the car. I haven't added or taken away anything from it yet. And it's just like small stuff, especially like things like, I get a lot of questions about the headlights, where I got the Enki wheels from. And I'm like, I didn't build this car, so I wouldn't be able to know. Even the guy that I bought it from doesn't know. So a lot of the adventure of this car is gonna be taking it apart, figuring out like what came from where, how can I source these parts, make sure I can replace them if they need to be replaced, what tune was it running, because I didn't see an access port in there. There's so much about these cars that I don't know, this car especially, that I don't know. Everybody that I've kind of showed it to who knows more about Subarus has told me it's a gem, and that I kind of got a crazy pull, and all I got to be able to do is fix it. I cannot tell you for the life of me what company makes what for this motor. I wouldn't know what the best option for a turbo is, you know, stuff like that. I am gonna have a lot of work done to it. So obviously, despite the fact that it's already built, it does need to be rebuilt. When the shop that had it did it, supposedly they machined it and basically made it a 0-mile motor, and then immediately started building it from that point up. But I don't have anything to confirm that. The odometer says 130,000 miles, but it's an STI cluster swap, so I don't know if you swap the mileage too. There's also traces of leakage, like valve cover, you know, nothing super serious, but there is leakage. Right before I got the motor, they pulled out the oil to check it, and they showed me no metal flakes or anything like that. It looks slightly used. Obviously, there were a lot of telltale signs that it wasn't really beat on per se. I still don't really know the last owner like that. I'm not a very trusting person when it comes to stuff like this. This car, however, if everything that he told me was true, is a gem, is a diamond in the rough, and all we gotta do is polish it. So with the research I've been able to gather so far, I found out the names and prices of a couple of the parts that I have and am going to need. One of the main issues with the current Subaru, the reason why it doesn't run, or we really can't test to see if it runs or not, is because the clutch that was in it before is absolutely destroyed. The clutch disc is flexed. The pressure plate has some gouges on it, like it slapped something, it got misaligned and ended up hitting something in the transmission. The flywheel actually looks pretty fine. I didn't see anything wrong with it. It doesn't look warped or anything. I don't really have a way to test that or balance it at the moment though. I've gotten in contact with a couple shops to see if they can help me out. And the hope is that they can get back to me with some yeses or some nos or something, so that I'm at least aware of what I'm working with. The research that I have done, I have found and sourced some of the parts that I was able to kind of eyeball and tell off the car. And just from that alone, I mean, like, this carbon exhaust, HKS carbon TI catback, almost $1,000 for that car. The clutch that I do need over here, I don't know if you can see it on that screen, but it's like $700. So there's a lot that's gonna have to go into this car, but I am more willing to try and work my way into it as well as I can, and just outsource parts in a more fashionable manner that's not going to be too much of a hassle. The adventure of getting this car back on the road alone, I'm looking forward to. It'll be expensive, but it's going to be very worth it, and it'll be fun experiencing a new platform and getting into another type of space of the car community, especially being part of the WRX community. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm very excited. So yeah, That's my new car. That is the 2002 Subaru WRX. There is another car that I have to tell you about that is my current daily driver that I have way more plans for and a lot more to do. But that's for another time. In the meantime, I really hope you guys enjoyed this reveal, and I'm looking forward to starting a new wave of content with you guys. I've got some more faces for you guys to meet. I know I introduced some in the last vlog. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like. If you want to see more progress on the Subaru as it gets built, subscribe. And if you want to see the new car, the other new car that I'm currently dailying, that if you know me, you've seen for sure, go ahead and tune back in next time. I'm going to try and upload it a bit more of a consistent schedule. As for now, you guys have a good day. Drive safe. I'll see you next time.